How to make your homemade gyoza. Let's make fresh and tender gyoza wrappers from scratch. All you need is salt, water, and flour. That's it. Watch the video tutorial and enjoy the fun and rewarding process of making these basic Japanese dumplings. By Miki Watanabe. Ingredients: 2 cups all-purpose flour, plain flour, or use 1 cup/120 grams bread flour plus 1 cup/120 grams cake flour for every 2 cups. See the instructions below. Half a teaspoon kosher salt, diamond crystal, use half for table salt. Half cup water, just boiled hot water. Different brands of flour absorb water differently, so use more hot water as needed. I used about 120 to 150 milliliters. Potato starch or cornstarch, for rolling and dusting. You may substitute flour. If you plan to freeze the wrappers, please use potato starch or cornstarch as the wrappers tend to stick to each other if you use flour. Japanese ingredient substitution. If you want substitutes for Japanese condiments and ingredients, click here. If you are enjoying this video, please press the like button, subscribe, or follow me for more video. Make sure you drop your comments in the comments section so that I can hear your opinion. Instructions. Before you start, you must accurately measure the flour. Use a kitchen scale if you have one. I highly recommend getting one like this. If you use a measuring cup, please try this method. Fluff your flour with a spoon, sprinkle it into your measuring cup, and use a knife to level it off. Put the measured flour into a medium bowl. You should have close to the standard 4.25 ounces, 120 grams, of flour per US cup. Gyoza wrapper 1. Gather all the ingredients. Gyoza wrapper ingredients. To make the dough, sift the flour into a large bowl. Gyoza wrapper 2. Add the salt to the just boiled hot water and stir until completely dissolved. Gyoza wrapper 3. Add the hot water to the flour little by little, stirring with a rubber spatula. Mix until the flour and water are combined completely. If the flour is still not incorporated, add more hot water, half a tablespoon at a time, until you can form the mixture into a ball. You will eventually need to use your hands to do this. Gyoza wrapper 4. Transfer the dough to a work surface and knead the dough for 10 minutes. Gyoza wrapper 5. After 10 minutes, the texture of the dough will be much smoother. Use a dough scraper to cut the ball of dough in half. Doesn't have to be an equal size. Gyoza wrapper 6. Shape each half into a long log about 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters, in diameter. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially if you use a cookie cutter later. Wrap each log with plastic wrap. Let it sit for 30 minutes. Gyoza wrapper 7. To roll the wrappers. Unwrap the dough. Sprinkle a little potato starch on the work surface and cut each log crosswise into 3/4 inch, 2 centimeters, wide pieces. Since we'll be using a cookie cutter, don't worry if each piece of dough is a slightly different size. Gyoza wrapper 8. It's super important to cover the dough with a damp kitchen towel at all times to prevent it from drying. Gyoza wrapper 9. Roll each piece of dough into a ball shape. Gyoza wrapper 10. Press the ball onto the work surface. Gyoza wrapper 11. Using a rolling pin, roll out the dough, but do not flatten the top and bottom edges. This is the trick to making a nice round shape. Gyoza wrapper 12. Rotate the dough 90 degrees and repeat rolling the dough. Try to roll out the dough into a thin circle. If the dough is hard to roll out or shrinks back, let it rest a bit to relax the gluten and try again. Gyoza wrapper 13. Cooker cutter, optional. If you want a perfectly round shape for your wrappers, cut your rolled dough circle with a 3-inch, 8 centimeters, cookie cutter. If the dough rolls back, leave it for a few seconds, then try again to cut the dough. Remove the excess dough scraps and cover them with a damp towel. Later, combine all the scraps if they still squish together and haven't dried out. Re-roll the scraps and repeat the process. Gyoza wrapper 14. Sprinkle each wrapper with potato starch and stack the wrappers. Make sure to cover them with a damp kitchen towel as you continue rolling the remaining dough. Once you've rolled out all the wrappers, wrap the stack of gyoza wrappers with plastic wrap and freeze or refrigerate until you're ready to use. Gyoza wrapper 15. To store the wrappers. You can keep the gyoza wrappers in the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 days and in the freezer for up to a month. Prior to use, defrost in the refrigerator overnight or on the counter for 60 minutes, depending on the amount and room temperature. Do not defrost in the microwave. Thanks for watching.